I think the only thing that I really truly hope to feel is that I left everything out there. And I can say confidently that I have. I've emptied the tank, I've given everything I had to the last pitch. It's a difficult thing sometimes, to make sure that you're staying in that threshold of not trying too hard in the wrong ways. You're not forcing results, but you're truly giving your best effort on each pitch to be able to execute. It's a very fine line. At the end of the day, all I really want is to be able to go to rest knowing that I did everything possible that day and gave my best effort. First game of the year, adrenaline's running high. It was kind of a grinder of a start. I had some difficulties. It just seemed like they were putting good swings on a lot of pitches, and it just wasn't quite getting easy outs. Kind of overcooked a breaking ball and just kind of overextended on one and felt the bicep grab me a little bit. So unfortunately that one took me out for the rest of April. But we had some time to address some other things while I was on the IL, and then we gradually built it up. And the Nationals did a great job by me of making sure that process was fairly lengthy. It gave me a lot of time to come back with those 3 rehab starts, and I really feel like I was in a great place by the time I was back. We've been lucky so far this year to have pretty mild weather. That day I think it was probably about 90 at game time and the sun was out. That's when conditioning really plays a part. And I think there is a hydration aspect that we need to take care of at all times.
Got it. He went too far, and Soto a strikeout victim. Going up, and back-to-back strikeouts for Soroka of Soto and Alonso. Right back to it, gets another strikeout.
This is just the classic, just pounding the zone.
I'd say it's quite similar to a lot of the starts I've had this year. A lot of good with some bad that really kind of just overshadows the whole outing, and just didn't get a chance to make a couple pitches when it really mattered, especially in that first inning, and it made me pay for it. There's 30 starts a year, and 30 times you'll have different sore spots. It's one of those weird things where throwing is just such a high velocity, high stress movement that you don't ever really truly get used to it in the same way you would if you were just squatting or running or other exercises that your body can adapt to. Obviously as a starter, you get built up and you start bouncing back from starts, and everything's moving well like it should be. That soreness goes away in the next couple days, but there's always new areas to work on between starts. We do burn a ton of calories out there, especially when it is hot. I think more than a lot of people realize, and the day after is about rehydrating, refueling to make sure that your body has something to recover with. Yeah, I actually felt pretty good on bullpen day this time through, and I do think some of it has to do with actually throwing that day game and being able to eat 2-3 times after that day game before I went to bed, and you kind of just get a head start on a recovery then as opposed to a night game. I felt pretty good, and those are days where you can actually put a little extra on it and get to the point where you're getting some good work in instead of just knocking off some rust. I'm not exactly free enough and completely bounced back enough to really let it rip, when we're seeing mid-90s. But the last couple times out, I've been able to be about 85 to 90, which means I'm moving fast enough, the hand's moving fast enough to where it's similar enough to being in a game. And that way you can kind of repeat and feel that proper feeling in the bullpen. I think this time through, I actually felt really good on bullpen day, so I did get work in. And the intent was high enough. I think I got up to 91, and I got enough throws in that day to where the next day, if I wasn't going to move fast and free enough to be able to, again, get good work in. There was no sense in me throwing that. I still did all my plyo work. I still did all the, I threw against the wall a little bit inside just to kind of move the arm and feel the delivery. But it's very easy to fall into bad habits when effort level is very low. It's very easy to start pulling open and dragging the arm, dropping the arm. There's a lot of bad habits that you can fall into if, the tempo and everything kind of falls. And, I think bad habits are tough because you don't know when they creep in. That's the difficult part. And all of a sudden it shows up in the game and you're like, how did it get there? So for me, I think, especially on that day 3, when I might not necessarily want to put effort on the baseball, it's sometimes best to just not throw and take your win on bullpen day and move on. Day 4 is lengthen it out just a little bit, touch that hand speed in a flat ground and feel good about where your pitches are out front, and just take that into start day. But I think I get warm and make sure that my first throw is a decent throw. I don't waste any time flipping the ball and putting an arc on it. I make sure that every throw counts. When you have a career that gets derailed by injuries and you realize how touchy it is and how every throw needs to count, because we can't go out there and throw 200-300 balls in a day. It's pretty obvious that you need to make sure that you do things right on a daily basis. I'm trying to feel. And the best way to do that is get really warm and feel like an athlete and let that tempo kind of take me through delivery. Letting that happen and not forcing it when it doesn't come right away is really big in warm-ups, because it is just warm-up. Whatever happens in the bullpen pregame doesn't get taken to the mound because everything changes. I was pretty dialed in the bullpen and then went to the mound pregame and 3-4 pitches warm up on that mound were all kind of all over the place and kind of had to recenter and dial it in. I think I was able to do that because I kept my tempo in the bullpen, and I felt my legs, I felt my torso, and I wasn't rushing things, and I wasn't looking for a result in the bullpen. So I already kind of had that feel, and right out of the gate went 1-2-3 to Moniak, and it's a good way to start a game.
Second and third. Looks like he went 1, 2, 3 as far as the pitches go.
If I'm at the very bottom of the zone, it's very good, and if I'm at the very top of the zone, it's very good. It's just kind of that gray area in the middle that has a chance to get hit. And I think the strikeout to Goodman in the first inning was one of the best pitches I've thrown in my entire life.
Best position to be successful.
Bang to the outside edge. Michael Soroka pulling out 97 here.
That was awesome to see, and those are the ones that you remember, and you remember what that felt like, and you're just trying to repeat those over and over again. And that's where staying healthy kind of comes into it, is you get a chance to go out there again in 5 days and repeat and do it again and do it again. And the hope is that you stay healthy, and in years later, you're just that much better at throwing a baseball.
He went, Michael Soroka, with a season-high 9 strikeouts.
It's a constant work, and I love that work, and it's something that I hope I get to do for a long, long time.